Welcome to Imagine Peace, the podcast that invites you on a transformative journey toward a world filled with harmony and understanding. Together, let's ignite the flame of peace within ourselves and radiate it outward so we can have a future where unity prevails. This is Imagine Peace, where dreams become reality. Join us as we explore the power of compassion, the beauty of diversity, and the potential for positive change. Hi there, I'm MarBeth Dunn. I am the director and founder of 10 Million for World Peace, and we are sponsors of Imagine Peace. And with Imagine Peace, you can join our meditations. You can enjoy all of our podcasts on YouTube, and you can also read our blogs. Sign up at 10millionforworldpeace.org and get our newsletter, and you can be apprised of all of our activities. Now, today I am thrilled to have a very special guest. Her name is Bracha Goetz, and she is not your typical Harvard grad. She is the author of 42 picture books that help children grow spiritually, inspiring each uniquely beautiful soul to shine. I love that. I did a children's book also when I lived in Haiti. Instill gratitude early on for a joyful life. I totally agree with that. She is also the author of a raw and candid memoir for adults. Unlike any memoir you've ever experienced before, its title, Nourish the Soul, Filling the Emptiness Within. And her books can be found at getzbookshop.com. So welcome, Bracha. It's so nice to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
So I was just checking out your bookstore. First of all, I find that your bio is just so modest. You published 42 books, and not just for children.
Yeah, they're mainly for children, and they are short, so they're not a lot of words, and it's like poetry also is very succinct, and I love to express the deep essence of everything in a simple and joyful way.
Oh, isn't that beautiful? I really like that. So that's one of the things that you do. Now, I noticed that you're promoting something called the Pleasure Ladder to help bring inner peace and enhance connection. Why don't we talk about that? And I can actually bring it up on the screen.
Beautiful. This has never happened before. I am so impressed.
Oh,
Thank
I'm
you.
so glad.
Thank you so much. So what are we all here for? That's what I was searching for in life. And it really brings a lot of suffering when you don't know what you're living for. But what I finally learned is that what we all are here to, the purpose of life, this is surprising, is to experience the greatest pleasure possible. And what is the greatest pleasure possible? It's spiritual pleasures. When we have addictions, we're trying desperately to fill the emptiness, the hole inside of us. We do it with physical things, and it never fills the hole. It gets deeper and deeper, the hole, because it's not a physical hole. The food, the box of chocolate chip cookies never lasts long enough. The gambling, the winning the prize, the shopping, whatever the addiction is, it never lasts long. The pleasure never lasts long enough to fill that hole. Each time we try with that immediate gratification, it doesn't help. Afterwards, we actually feel emptier than before. So what does fill it? What brings us lasting pleasure in life is gratitude. And the pleasure ladder has 5 rungs on it. This is not my creation. This is from ancient mystical wisdom.
From the Kabbalah, right?
Exactly. It's Kabbalistic teachings, the Kabbalah, exactly. And these the 5 rungs on the pleasure ladder, they correspond to our 5 fingers. In other words, pleasure is within our own hands. We have the power to bring it into our lives, not dependent on anybody else. And the 5 levels of pleasure, they correspond also to the 5 levels of the human soul. So it's universal. The lowest level of the soul is the part that's connected to the body. And so we fill it with all the natural physical pleasures in this world, like natural foods, being in nature, music, all the sensual pleasures, being active, moving our bodies, the pleasure that brings of dancing or swimming or gardening or walking. These are all the natural pleasures. And how do we experience pleasure? How do we fill up our souls? When we experience gratitude while we are experiencing those sensual pleasures, then that actually fills us up. That is really the secret to happiness. That's just the lowest level of pleasure. So we can bring it into our lives at any moment by engaging in any of those natural activities and experiencing gratitude while we are doing it. The next level up is love. Now, love seems to be dependent on someone else.
Well,
But
I don't know that that's true.
yeah. But with the ancient definition of love is focusing on the virtues of another. So we could do that whether the other person, the other being is there with us or not, focusing on what we appreciate about someone else. Even in prison, a person could focus on the virtues of a grandmother that once did a kindness for them, and they are uplifted, inspired to be a better person. So we can bring love into our lives at any moment. And the next level up is meaning. And I was on another show talking about doing something good and meaningful, how that can fill us up if we experience gratitude while we're doing it. So the host of the show said that the day before he was eating pizza, feeling miserable and lonely. He finished 2 slices and he's about to plow through the whole box of pizza by himself. His neighbor knocks on his door and he helps his neighbor for 2 minutes. He comes back. He doesn't need the pizza anymore. He can put the rest in the fridge for another day. What changed?
The gratitude.
Exactly. He felt grateful that he could help another person, because
Sure.
when we're in addiction or feeling anxious, depressed, we're lonely. We feel bored, we feel estranged, we feel cut off, disconnected. So the connection comes back. When we feel gratitude, we are connecting to another. Surprisingly, above the level of meaning and even more lasting pleasure that brings even more connection is creativity.
Ooh, nice.
Because we are putting a unique part of ourselves into the world. We're not just stuffing envelopes, or we're not just moving furniture like the neighbor needed. We're doing something uniquely us and bringing it into the world. And we get on such a high from that we don't feel like sleeping or eating. It's like time is irrelevant. Time is passing. We don't know, because we're in the zone of creativity. So,
yep.
yep, exactly. So that's an even, and when we do it with gratitude, oh my goodness, that takes away the ego part of it. Then we're just being a vessel for the creative energy flowing through us into the world. And then we don't have to fear falling or failing. No, we're just a part of that process, and it's just totally a joyful experience. So the highest than that is transcendence. And that is when we recognize that we are all connected. This is relationship with peace, because peace is that wholeness. Peace is the sense of wholeness. We recognize we are connected to everybody, to every being, to everything in nature, and we're all connected to the same source energy. We're really separate souls, but we're really all at the same time. At the same time, we are one soul. All our souls are connected. It's not like there's a very clear delineation between souls like there is between our physical bodies. So when we recognize that, that's transcendence. We recognize we're souls. Everybody else has that spark of divinity in them too. And that gives us the feeling of transcendence, which, we could feel it under a starry sky at night. It stays with us forever, that feeling.
Sure.
Also, when we transcend our own limitations, we are connecting to that infinite part of us that can transcend. So when we make a crack in a bad habit, we do something new, we grow in a new way.
Mhm.
Um, we are also That's also an experience of transcendence. We're transcending our limited selves and becoming more of our real selves, who we truly are, who we are capable of being, our full potential.
So basically, we're expanding this limited being that we thought that we were into a greater sense of ourselves, which is really beautiful. I'm so shocked to
Exactly.
share. This is really lovely. I really like this bracha. And you're giving this away for free on
Yeah,
your website.
this is a chart that people can download from the website, and I encourage people to put it on their fridge or their cabinets where they'll see it all the time. Whenever they have that sense of scarcity, we often have that sense of scarcity in our lives. I don't have enough pleasure in my life. This can remind us there's an abundance, there's no scarcity. There's an abundance. We just have to recognize that, and then we could bring it into our lives. That moment, we have the power. Like, there's this a Netflix show, My 600-Pound Life, where,
Right?
yeah, the people say the only thing bringing me pleasure anymore is food. So they just keep
Mhm.
stuffing their faces. That's when anyone who's overeating, we do that because we want the pleasure to keep lasting. So this can remind us how to bring lasting pleasure into our lives through gratitude, because that whole container of ice cream will never fill us up. We'll feel emptier than before when we finished it. But gratitude, like I describe, like eating an orange with gratitude. It's like, just think about it. I mean, it's so beautiful, bright orange. And initially, the fruit are all green. They're camouflaged in with the leaves, you know?
Sure.
And and then when they're ready for us, they call, "We're ready," because they become the brightest, most beautiful colors. So they're a pleasure to look at, and they are a pleasure to smell. And then and they're individually packaged in this amazing wrapper that keeps the sweet juiciness in for months. And then when we experience it, we taste the sweet juiciness. And at the end, we are left with the seeds, the eternal seeds that, like, they can become trees, and then infinite more oranges. It just goes on and on, this amazing cycle. So just this orange alone is filled with infinite loving compassion and infinite wisdom for us. So could you imagine, like, if we ate this with mindful gratitude, and this is just an orange, like
Sure,
our whole lives, there's so many gifts throughout our lives. And if
sure.
we experience them with that loving compassion that's designed into them, then our whole lives, that's how we practice gratitude more and more.
It begins also when you smell the orange.
Yes,
That aroma, it just feels
yes,
so yummy. And
exactly,
it's delicious just to smell.
exactly. And it didn't have to be like that. Like it could have been a pill that we took, tasteless, smellless, not beautiful, but everything was really designed for us to live in this amazing garden in this world and to enjoy it so thoroughly. It was designed for our greatest pleasure, but we forgot that. We forget it, so we have to keep remembering.
I love that. That's so beautiful. It's such a simple lesson, but it's so profound. So,
Exactly.
so let's talk about your books.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I love teaching this to children from the beginning of life, as early in life as possible. Children, when they can understand this early in life, they have happiness skills throughout throughout their entire lives. So that's what I've been doing. I distill it down to the simplest truths and I explain it in a joyful way so they can easily absorb. When we learn things joyfully, we can absorb them the most easily.
So tell me like the theme of one of your books.
Um, okay, like there's so many. This one, like let's appreciate everyone.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, this about talk about world peace, this book actually focuses on disabilities, teaching to children that are not as neurodiverse about neurodiversity, teaching them how to be sensitive. For instance, one lesson in the book is we children naturally stare at someone that has a visible disability,
Mhm.
and they're curious. It's understandable. But there's another 5-letter word that also begins with S, like stare, and that word is smile. If you add your smile to your stare, it changes everything. It creates a bridge. Actually, it creates a drawbridge like this. The
Right.
smile creates a bridge from one heart to the next, and that creates connection. So it's encouraging children, don't just stare. If you're curious, add your smile. And
Oh,
that's
I
what
love
warms
it.
hearts. So that's just one example.
What did
Yeah,
you study at Harvard?
at Harvard, I studied psychology and I was pre-med, and I also went to medical school after Harvard. And then I took a detour and I went to Israel after the summer after my first and second year of medical school. And I ended up learning about my lost heritage, learning about the depths of the richness of my heritage that I didn't know about. And I ended up living there for 10 years and not coming back. And I went on a whole different path in life from at that point.
Oh, that's really beautiful. Wow. Very, very cool. So, what is the purpose of life?
That's it. What is the purpose? What do people want for their children? People want their children to experience the greatest pleasure possible in life. That's what we want for our children. So this is how to experience the greatest pleasure possible through a life of gratitude. Um, what's the difference between a happy life and a miserable life? It's how grateful you are. That's really the essence of what's different. So, in order to climb the pleasure ladder, to get to any rung on the pleasure ladder, there's only one price to pay, and that's gratitude. There's nothing to lose. and only gratitude to enhance your life.
That's so beautiful. So, we're all about world peace. And I have to ask you, do you think it's possible? I know you have been living in Israel and there's a war going on now and it's got the whole world divided. So,
Yes.
so I'd love to hear your thoughts about, is peace possible?
Yes, it's so possible. This was the first war I ever experienced in my life. When I woke up on October 7th, I didn't understand what was happening. I didn't know what all the sirens were about, all the booms. I had never experienced war before. So I was there for 6 months of the war so far, and for sure, for sure, peace is possible. It's funny that the city of Jerusalem is the word Yerushalayim. It means the city of peace. And there's hardly been a city that has experienced more wars than Jerusalem. It's a city that's fought over so much, and yet it's called the city of peace. Why? Because we know that eventually there will be peace. Eventually, we will all recognize that this is an example, we all have this beautiful divine light within us. Whatever we are, Jewish, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever, we all have this divine spark. And there is no need for fighting. And one of my books is called Don't Read This Book. It's about that voice inside of us. This is how to overcome the voice inside of us that's telling us all the time that we should be miserable because we're lacking this, we're missing that. Instead, we can override that voice. We can override that tape that's always playing in our heads and recognize, really, I can be grateful for all that I already have. I have so much. There's no reason to always be wanting more and more and more, because that's what makes us miserable. That's what creates wars, instead of being happy with the little bit that we have. In Israel, it is crazy that the Jewish people, the homeland is this tiny little area, less than the size of New Jersey, and it's surrounded by Arab nations. I think there's like 36 Arab nations. And for some reason, is the Jewish people, we don't have any other homeland but this little place smaller than New Jersey. Why we're meant to be there, we don't know. But that's it. We just want to live in this little tiny area. And we hope that there could be peace and that it could work out and everybody else could live around us in peace. And that's what we're hoping for.
I hope so too. So, do you have a special process that you use for inner peace?
Yeah. Well, it was as a young adult that I really learned about the guidelines of my Jewish traditions. And from then on, as a young adult, I began the gratitude practices, they're really mindfulness exercises from morning till night. We wake up, and the first thing we say in Hebrew is modeh ani. It means thank you. That's the first words out of our mouth, thanking that we were blessed with another day of life. To do what? To experience gratitude. That's it. That's really our whole job here, because in the Kabbalistic teachings, the cosmic oneness is everything. So what is there anything a cosmic oneness can't do? It can't give to another, because everything is part of that oneness. So the cosmic oneness, in an illusory way, it seemed to withdraw in order to create finite beings and our finite world, in order to have a relationship with us and to be able to give to us. And our whole role, our whole mission here is just to give back gratitude. And That's how that's the connection that we have. That's how the energy just keeps flowing. And once I realized that, that is what flows through my entire day. Saying blessings for all kinds of natural things that happen throughout the day, and just experiencing that joy more and more.
Wow, that's really beautiful. Yeah, you must be the happiest gal alive.
I'm 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 very grateful, but you can always be more grateful. That's the thing. It's hard to believe, but you can actually get into more and more a state of bliss, and it could take up more and more of your day the more you practice gratitude. You know, our brains have neuroplasticity. So
Sure.
the more we practice gratitude, the more grateful we become. We actually create more gratitude pathways. So we really are filling up our brains with gratitude. It becomes easier and easier. At first, it feels awkward and weird to begin practicing gratitude for things like oranges, but the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Well, I understand that because what we focus on expands.
Exactly.
So if we
Exactly.
are focused on what's wrong, that's what we're going to get more of. But when we focus on all of the blessings in our lives,
Yes.
everything that we have to be grateful for, and we keep expanding that, wow, it just gets better and better.
Exactly. Exactly. Even the challenging times, they are also there for a good purpose. And the rabbi that taught me all this, Reb Noach Weinberg, he's no longer alive, but he used to say, what is the opposite of pain? People think it's, pleasure and pain, but no, really the the opposite, I think I'm getting this right, is comfort. Comfort, comfort, let's put it that way. I think I got a little mixed up. Comfort is the opposite of pleasure.
Oh,
Pain can be a part of pleasure. You may experience pain climbing a mountain. You may experience pain giving birth. It can be part of what brings
the larger
us to be
experience. Yeah.
exactly. But comfort, that's when the comfort food comes in, or the other addictions. Then it stops us from experiencing full pleasure. It stops us
Okay.
from experiencing deep gratitude.
Well, you are one very wise woman.
It's not my wisdom. I'm totally just absorbing all this ancient, mystical, timeless wisdom.
Well,
Yeah.
I have studied Kabbalah, but I never learned it the way you're teaching it. And I love that. I think it's really beautiful that it's all about gratitude and it brings us into a place of bliss.
Yes.
Really
Yes.
beautiful. How can people get in touch with you, Bracha?
Right. The best way is my website. My children worked so hard on my website. They are running the whole website. I'm not a business person, so they are doing this, and it gives them great pleasure if you visit the website. So I hope you will, and that's where all my books are to contact me, and you can see presentations, and download the pleasure ladder.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Do you do all the illustrations yourself or do your kids help you?
No, we hire illustrators,
Oh,
and I
cool.
also love to draw, but I've never illustrated my own book yet. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I did illustrate a book when I lived in Haiti. I'll show
Wonderful.
you.
Wonderful. Oh,
My
we can't
cat
see it.
is
There you
turtle.
go.
On
Beautiful.
the way home.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's a very sweet story, about the generosity of the people.
Wa
So,
Wonderful.
yeah. So,
That's
anyway, thank
great.
you so very much, Bracha. It's really been a pleasure to have you here. And you know where to find you at Getz Publishing.
Oh, getsbookshop.com. Thank you. I I so appreciate how you resonate. It's awesome speaking with you, awesome connecting with you. Thank you so much.
Well, your name means blessing.
Yay!
You are a true blessing. Yes,
Thank you.
because you're
Thank you.
sharing this with so many people. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for sharing it.
My pleasure. Thank you, MarBeth. Thank you.
Imagine Peace is brought to you by 10 Million for World Peace. Join our daily 7-minute guided meditations for world peace and monthly healing circles at 10millionforworldpeace.org. Together we can create a peaceful, happy planet.